You're watching TelecomTV from the MEF annual members meeting in Boston. And I'm joined now by Jack Pugaczewski, who is Distinguished Architect at Centurylink, and Stephan Pelletier, who is Director Product Management for Orchestration at Oracle. Jack and Stephan, thank you very much for joining us on TelecomTV. Jack, if I could start with you, we're witnessing quite a phenomenon at the moment with regards to open networking. Why is this shift becoming more important in telecoms?
Carriers are paying very large costs for integration and for custom development. I think what you're seeing now is the combination of standards organizations such as MEF taking a hybrid approach with open source and developing specifications, but not waiting until they're complete, bringing them into hackathons, having people work with those APIs based on specifications, and using that as a feedback to harden the specification.
So what is the MEF doing specifically to address the open networking and open source issue?
In my opinion, the first thing they did was define, very well define architecture known as LSO. And it's an architecture and a framework with clear and concise defined interfaces and functions at each layer. Once you have that, that provides a great platform then to start defining specific APIs at each of those interfaces to perform network functions that we as carriers need to support our customers and interoperate with other operators and carriers.
So you mentioned the APIs there. Is this where Presto fits into the picture?
It does. Presto is the defined interface in the LSO architecture between what would be a service orchestrator and one or more domain controllers.
So are we looking sort of east-west orchestration?
North-south. This would be a
North-south.
north-south API.
And what about OpenCS?
OpenCS is an initiative where we're working with the newer technologies such as SDN and NFV, along with the implementation of current legacy network physical components, if you will, but providing and leveraging an LSO framework and corresponding APIs that will work in what would be a more realistic carrier network of a hybrid of legacy, SDN, and NFV. And there's a great advantage in having a common API that can be used across all of those technology implementation types.
So Stephan, if I can pick up on what Jack's been saying there about the importance of open networking and LSO, where are we at with the MEF's LSO orchestration work?
Well, for one thing, we've defined a reference architecture for the LSO, which gives us an opportunity to redefine how BSSs and OSSs are laid out to deliver a lot more agility, and that is by developing an orchestration and controller type architecture. And the controller layer, which is fronted at the top with this Presto interface, is what allows us to exploit open networking, not only on the newer technologies with OpenFlow and those types of things in SDN controllers, but also to apply those same principles on the traditional networks that service providers use today. So therefore, what we're doing in this architecture is, and with the controller layer and Presto, is effectively trying to bring the intelligence of the network higher up into the stack and allow effectively the higher level BSS OSS applications to be quite simpler than they used to be in the past, which will allow us to do a lot more automation than we can do in the past.
So you talked there about moving up the stack. So this is to allow what exactly? What is the importance to service providers of taking that approach?
Right. Well, with by being able to abstract network implementations of different types of technology connectivity services, whether it's optical, MPLS based, VXLAN, or those types of things, abstracting this layer via a Presto interface based on MEF standards, that allows the applications above that, like a service orchestrator, for example, to be quite simpler compared to in the past. Any sort of OSS was trying to know about all types of technologies in the network. Now we're abstracting those layers with an SDN type of approach, and that will allow service providers to be quite more agile going forward by adopting this sort of architecture.
And Jack, as Stephan says, it allows the service provider to be more agile, which in turn has benefit to your customers.
Absolutely. Instead of what some carriers would see, or customers of a carrier see 30 to 90 days for the deployment of a service, we can realistically deploy it in 30 to 90 seconds.
So this is really changing the whole aspect of the services market going forward.
It does a couple of things. The software automation is, one, going to reduce operational costs, and two, it's also going to allow us to see new potential revenue streams. So the delta is a margin. So
Stephan, it's two things here. It's on the one hand, it's cost savings, but on the other hand, it's revenue opportunities.
Definitely, there's a lot of convergence of services in the industry, so it's not only about connectivity like carrier Ethernet or IP services, it's also about bundling cloud services of different sorts, lots of value-added services. NFV is bringing a lot of opportunities, and our architecture is effectively allowing service providers to efficiently be able to bundle up those things and have those new offerings.
What would you say are the opportunities and challenges when we look at the MEF's work in moving towards the third network vision? Because I guess there are opportunities, but at the same time, it's not going to be easy to do. There are challenges involved.
Yeah, definitely. So for one of the big things we're working on into many of our projects is information modeling. It's very important that information modeling be alike, at least when you, within the service provider operations environment, but also when you talk to between partners, between service providers, between operators via standard APIs. You need to be able to talk the same language. And so we're spending a lot of effort to try to define this information model that can serve MEF services, carrier Ethernet and IP. And then we'll go on to the different APIs that are east-west between providers. And so there's still quite a bit of work to define those APIs. That's a bit of a challenge, but we're going to get through that. And after this, it's a matter of the service providers adopting those APIs, B2B as we call them, in order to, that is table stake in order to realize a third network vision.
Jackie, so an appetite among service providers to adopt APIs and go that route?
Absolutely. If you look within a carrier and the automation that they can provide for their customers, again, that's back to faster deployment and new potential revenue opportunities with what some people would say network as a service. It's also should be recognized by carriers that they don't always, 80-20 rule, they may, in a customer's application, one carrier may only have 80% of the interfaces and other carriers have the other 20%. So a cooperative environment in an automated fashion is essential from the customer's perspective, or they're going to go somewhere else where they can get that automated service fulfillment and service assurance.
Final question then for you both. We're seeing some interesting developments in the market at the moment around orchestration, say particularly like Mano. Do you think we're entering a stage where telcos and service providers are trying to take more of a lead into networking, interworking, rather than take a less prescriptive, vendor-friendly approach?
Absolutely. We're seeing that at the domain controllers and the API development to the orchestration functionality. You're also seeing through the Mano project service orchestration functionality looking as a open source initiative, and carriers are absolutely getting involved in what are the functional components necessary within an orchestration to either develop themselves or buy off-the-shelf components to integrate in a non-proprietary manner.
And a lot of the influence by service providers in this environment, not only to help develop open source, but if they were to decide to go with some vendor's platform, is they have hard requirements that these platforms use standard APIs that we are defining, so that all the value of the LSO reference architecture can be leveraged.
Well, Stephan and Jack, great discussion. Thank you very much. Very interesting. Thanks for joining us on TelecomTV.
Thank you.
Thank you.